If you are watching this, you are probably not directly affected by the Russo-Ukrainian war and you are somewhere safe, thousands of miles away. But wait a moment, you are directly affected by the war. Petrol, remember this price? Well, it is now this much, about 50% more. Gas, remember this price? Well, now it is this much, about 50% more. But what about food? Well, currently, this is between 10 and 20% in most cases up. But let me tell you, things are not looking good in the coming months. Brace for impact as we explain the situation and discuss the strains in food supply due to the war. And stick around towards the end because I'm going to speculate what happens next. What is happening in Ukraine is heartbreaking, totally unnecessary and unfair. The loss of life, especially of those not in the fight, is extremely sad. But we are here to talk about the wider picture. So nowadays, agricultural activity and the food supply chains are globalized, as agricultural production is highly dependent on the use of fuels, fertilizers, and energy. We are in the middle of a logistics crisis. Why? Rising energy bills are escalating the cost of producing fertilizers and transporting goods around the world. In addition, the price of gas, which is used to heat greenhouses and to make fertilizers in the factories, has soared in the past 6 months. The maritime and road transport has skyrocketed because of the exponential increase in fuel and electricity, affecting the whole range of grain processing. Everything is a chain, a global supply chain that is affected, and this pressure is driving food prices up. Where are the food prices currently? Let me take you to my local supermarket here in the UK. My staple foods. 15 eggs was $1.99 and now it is $2.15. 2 liters of milk was $1.15 and now it is $1.45. Half a kilo of bread was 75p and now it is 85p. These are some arbitrary examples and your mileage may be different. Not the actual mileage, well maybe that too, because speaking of mileage, petrol is crazy 40% up. At the start of the war, we have seen shortages in the supermarkets, empty shelves. Panic buying was observed. So it is only natural to wonder, where are the food prices going because of the war and is there a ceiling? Also, what is special about Ukraine? Ukraine is the largest supplier of food and feed products to Europe and one of the largest suppliers of food in general because it has a large, fertile land and strong agri-food sector. Ukraine is also a key supplier of fertilizers, mainly nitrates and potassium, which are fundamental for agriculture sector. How large? It is currently the fourth largest supplier of food to all the EU, with 32% of the world's sunflower production and 10% of wheat production, barley, corn and fertilizer coming from Ukraine. Staggering, isn't it? And don't forget Russia. It is a very big player in agriculture as well with huge exports. So the sanctions that the EU and the USA imposed on Russia have reversed the flow of mostly soft grain, which has led to a surge in prices on the commodity exchange global market. We mentioned cereals. Let's take our favorite cereal, wheat. Some 30% of the world's wheat comes from Ukraine and Russia. As you realize, exports will stop during the conflict or will happen at a very slow pace. Wheat is like coffee, a global commodity with price fluctuating in the open market based on offer and demand. Well, the price of wheat has risen quite a lot. To see that, let's take the price of common wheat for July delivery contracts on the London Commodity Exchange because that price is a key indicator for grain prices in Europe in the next 3 months. So the price for 1 ton of common wheat recently reached up to €300 per ton from 220 to the beginning of the conflict, with the first day of the invasion being close to €350. Due to this fact, it is obvious that in the end of the flour industry supply chain, a normal medium-sized bakery business, like the one in my neighborhood, will have to pay much more than 420 euros per ton. This is because they have to cover at least the transport costs. And flour is the biggest cost in the bakery business. Can the bakery absorb all of these costs? Of course they can't, and they roll it down to the consumers. So the price of bread follows the price of the global market for wheat, in a sense, right? If this truly happens, then why we always have price hikes and never a price reduction, even if at the same time there's a drop in the global market value of that commodity? And it is not just bread and pasta. The whole import trade is under threat. Take coffee. It is currently in the middle of a logistic nightmare, with significant of the quantity stuck in transport while demand soars, shooting up the final price, especially considering the cost of processing of coffee. Similarly, sugar's price is also a collateral damage, affected by the cost of the electricity and transport. But there is hope in the horizon. If you see the situation 1 or 2 months ago in the food supply chain, it was way worse. Now the situation is beginning to improve, with the logistics sector finally turning the boat, or start turning the boat. But it is a boat, so it will take time to turn. It will take time to see this reflected in the local supermarket prices and in your pocket. But there are better days ahead. My prediction is that food prices will return to normal levels after the summer, earlier for the items in which we have a surplus. And yes, I believe that wholesalers and retail will indeed reduce their prices. And remember, not all groceries have been affected by price hikes. There are many items and types of food that remain the same or even dropped during this crisis. If we somehow try to remain calm, aim to reduce, as always, our food waste, be creative with our food choices, buy local when we can, and we'll go through this, as we have done with many other things in the past. Bye for now, folks. See you in the next video.